Real Estate Rockstars, this is Aaron Amuchastegui. Hey, you've probably heard about the Mastermind that we hosted in Austin over the last 4 years for all of our podcast listeners. And this last March, we had a fantastic time, a bunch of amazing speakers, and great fellowship. Well, I wanted to take some of those speaker talks that we had and release them to you guys here on the podcast so you can get the value that our members got when they were there, and also make you think about maybe joining us next year. So we've just released the dates for next year. It's February 25th through 27th, and we're only selling tickets for the next 30 or 40 days, and then we're going to lock down the orders, and so we can start, sending out the value ads for all of that. And if you end up joining the podcast Mastermind, if you end up signing for the Mastermind, you get to become a part of our private Facebook group, our private Circle app, all sorts of referrals between different people. And then you'll also get recordings, all the recordings for the past several years of Masterminds that we've had. But, just so you can hear a little bit more about kind of what you missed, get some added value just for being a listener, because I appreciate all of you guys that are here. Here is one of the clips of that, or here's one of the, 45-minute talks. I hope you guys love it.
They asked for my walk-up song, and I'm like, I really like Pitch Perfect. So we've got to get. I can't be the only one that loves Pitch Perfect, right? Like this is my jam. I would have rocked this at karaoke last night. Hey, so fun to be here, Aaron. Thank you for the invitation. I never know which boy band member you're going to look like, so today I'm happy that it is Justin Timberlake, late 90s. Feels so good. Feels so good to be here. Thank you very much. Poor me. I live in Fargo, North Dakota. Wow. Visceral reaction to where I call home. I live in Fargo, North Dakota, and it is what I like to refer to as God's country, because for like 3 months of the year, it's really awesome, and then otherwise I have to travel. And turns out I was in Cabo last week, and then I spent a few days in Dallas at an event where it was 90-mile-an-hour winds. I've experienced, in the last 8 days, I've experienced an earthquake and a tornado. So it's so fun to not be at home right now, because at home is like 50 degrees, and that's bathing suit weather for us. I just want you to know that this is cold, and what the hell is happening in Texas right now? Are you guys okay? This is like a wellness check more than anything. Hey, I get a bunch of time with you this morning, and I asked Aaron, hey, what do you want me to talk about? Do you want me to talk about business and strategy and goals? And we could talk about motivation and attitude and energy. And he's like, let's just talk about heart. So although I'd love to share some business tactics and techniques with you, and that may find its way in just a little bit, I want to talk about how you're doing. And let's do a genuine wellness check. You guys okay? No, I mean that. It's been really tough the last couple of years. And I'm just talking business. A lot of you have earthquakes and tornadoes happening in your personal lives right now. And storms that you are battling, and demons that you are facing, and hardships that are staring at you. Or you might be on the mountaintop. You may be in a really great place. And if you're in a really great place right now, well, this too shall pass. And if you're in a hard time right now, this too shall pass. And my goal is to give you a few tools, a few techniques, a few things that will propel you to get through the tough crap. There is this reading that I found. It's this guy in Colorado who's a rancher. And he says that he's seen a stark difference when the storms come between bison and cows. Storms always come in from the west, traditionally, right? Always traditionally. And so when the storms come in, cows tend to run east. And when cows tend to run east, they actually prolong their time in the storm when they run away from the hard things. Bison, on the other hand, when a storm comes from the west, they go west. They go into the hard thing. They run to the stuff that is more challenging, more difficult. And although it hurts more with the initial punch, they're through it that much faster. So, before we dive in, I've done some cool stuff in business. Former youth pastor at a church. I love Jesus, but I cuss a little, so we'll see what happens today. I've founded a couple of companies. I was an entrepreneur working for the church, kind of losing my mind because I loved what I did, but I just felt like I had nowhere to go. And so I started a real estate career in 2011. And in 2011, I sold 52 houses my first year. Then I started a team the next year, and we sold 192 houses, but I was 113 of those 192. This was before DocuSign. This was before an agent partner or anything else. I just had a wife that was very understanding. And then the next year, I got kicked out of my brokerage, which was a wild ride, but I sold 246 homes that year, and I was 149 of the 246. The next year, opened up my own brokerage. In 2014, opened up Hatch Realty, cleverly named. And as I opened it up, we sold 411 houses, and I was 153 of the 411. So I get real estate. I started investing back in 2012, and I was scared to death of buying my first rental property. And so I found a HUD home, a foreclosed home. I don't think they make those anymore in my area, but we found a house that was $90,000, and I was scared to put any money towards it. So I got two other investors to partner with me, and we each put down 10 grand. And now that's turned into, I have 60 doors, and I have a few million tucked away in self-storage, which is my favorite place to invest, by the way. And just finding really cool opportunities with investing. I've flipped a bunch of houses, I've done a lot of cool things. And then I've been out of production, although my team has sold over 7,000 houses in the last decade. I haven't sold a house outside of like a onesie twosie in over a decade. And so I've literally gone to the place that so many people wish they can get to, and that is like, I own a business that makes me money and I don't have to work in it. It's not that fun because I like to work. But I've gone on to build some other things. My biggest passion now is coaching. I do business, real estate coaching and consulting, and then I'm a part of Real Brokerage, and I spend so much time building and giving energy into that. And those are things that now are supporting my family financially on top of the real estate things that I already told you about, okay? It's really fun to talk about the highlights, but I think what you see up here is pretty bullshit. When I talk about the good stuff, it can create a disconnect, whether you know that or not. When we talk about the things that are our highlight reel, I think it creates like some separation. Now, before I get there, I want to, I missed a slide. Okay. Before I go too far, I want to say this. Is your highlight reel is not the attraction thing you think it is. I actually think that our low light reel is our magnetism. I think that we bond through trauma more than triumph. Because triumph can show separation. Because I could come up here and I could tell you of why I'm great. And if you're not in a great spot, it's maybe met with a little adoration, but it's also met with a little bit of repulsion. We want people that are like us, right? We want somebody that's like one of us. This person's failed. This person's been a big old dummy. And I'm unafraid of showing you my warts and all. So here's a couple of the lowlights. I had a deadbeat dad. My parents divorced when I was 2 years old, so he was never in my life. He was a drug addict, a drug dealer, an alcoholic, very abusive. And so not having him in my life was a gift that I didn't think I needed. I can't tell you how many daddy issues I have, by the way. I think that for a middle-aged man to talk about daddy issues is sometimes off-putting for people, but for me, it's just my story. I grew up living in a trailer that they had to burn down after we moved out of it because it was that ransacked and rough, right? When I was 16 years old in high school, my sister was off in the Navy. My mom, my only parent, my mom, my dad, my everything, got stage 4 cancer. And in fact, the stage 4 cancer that she had was cervical cancer. And if you know anything about cervical cancer, you get cervical cancer from HPV or genital warts, which my mom got from my dad's many affairs. Or my sister was born and I wasn't. My dad got a call. He was a roofer. He got a call saying that he had to go to a job. But the people that made the fake phone call went in and stole all my dad's drugs and money and raped my mom. And so my mom contracted cervical cancer that eventually took her life from my dad. So my dad murdered my mom. It's the story I told myself for a really long time. It's real life, gang. My first year in real estate, I sold no homes. I was a part-time agent. The reason why I got into real estate in the first place was because I wasn't getting paid enough at the church that I was working at. And so I was a professional gambler and a full-time youth minister. It was the internet poker boom of the early 2000s, and I was, some people are nodding like, yeah, me too. Yeah, I get it. Yeah. It was this internet poker boom, and it was this chance to make some quick money. I was really good at reading people. And so poker for me wasn't gambling. It was like being an entrepreneur. Like, it's calculated risk all the time. But then my addiction took over. And the reason I got my real estate license was to fund my addiction. In 2008, the guilt got the best of me. I couldn't do it anymore. And I confessed to my wife that while she was making $32,000 a year as a teacher and I was making $28,000 a year as a youth minister, I had racked up behind her back $70,000 in credit card debt. By the way, did you know that the average rate of credit cards today is 28%? We're so fucked. And so I had more bills than I had money. I was in this like really tough contrarian spot, and I'm like, what am I going to do? Gang, do you know that feeling of like, what am I going to do? Because you've deferred so many maintenance things. You've stopped looking and you stopped measuring because you don't like the results that you actually see. Your lead generation, your efforts, your contacts, you stop counting because you don't like the results that are there. You don't step on the scale because you're putting on weight. You don't count the calories anymore because you love burgers. That was my story. So it's been a wild ride. It's been a really wild ride. Did anybody hit their goals in 2024? Be honest. Raise your hand if you hit your goals in 2024. Oh, hell yeah. What an incredible room. Now, I want to say this. If you hit your goals, either the stars aligned or maybe you didn't think you were capable of greatness. Maybe you reached for good, or maybe you found great. For me, I never feel like I can hit the goalpost. And when I do hit the goalpost that I had set a year ago or 2 years ago, I move the goalpost again. You with me? It's this constant feeling of I got to do more, I got to do more. But I think, I'm going to ask you a question. I think that sometimes, if we're really honest, we haven't done all we can. So on a scale of 1 to 10, how hard did you work in 2024? Intensity, focus, discipline. If you are a 1 or 2, raise your hand. Okay. 3 or 4? Okay, the 3 or 4s only raise their hand a tiny little bit. 5 or 6? Okay. 7 or 8? 9 or 10? Okay, those of you that are 9 or 10, I want you to raise your hand right now as high as you can. As high as you can. Now raise it higher. Raise it higher. Raise it higher. Do you see you are bullshitting yourselves when you say, yeah, I'm a 9 or 10, this is as high as I can go. You got more you can do. Get your ass on the table. You understand, the people I'm actually the most worried about are not the 9s and 10s. Is the 5s, 6s, 7s, and 8s. That's what I'm worried about. Because that's me. And we're not in enough discomfort to force us to change. It is a slow fade for the 5s, 6s, 7s, and 8s. A slow fade into a life that you don't love. So, this is the only picture I have of my dad. And if you see what I'm wearing, that was made of estrogen repellent in middle school. That's my sister in the middle. My dad is named Larry. And then that is my sister's high school graduation. So that's me as an 8th grader. I really enjoyed pizza rolls. And the Miami Hurricanes, I guess. I don't know. Sometimes our deferred maintenance comes from the trauma of our past. That we haven't addressed the things. When my business almost collapsed in the end of 2022, my team was on top of the world, but it absolutely wasn't. It was a shell game. We had sold the previous year 1,024 homes. The average per agent productivity on my team was 35 deals per agent. In Fargo, North Dakota, we had a 9.5% market share. Just for my real estate team that I gave 5 hours a week to, I made over $1 million. I thought I was untouchable. I was on top of the world. I thought I had it all figured out. And the problem was, I had just allowed the deferred maintenance to start compounding for my team. The deferred maintenance was I had a bunch of agents that were frustrated that I was an unintentional deadbeat dad, that I wasn't showing up, that I wasn't giving them the love, the attention, the focus, the energy that they had hoped for. Now, what they didn't know was behind the scenes, I was obsessed over them. Studying, staring, risking, doing all the things, so worried about it, but I didn't give them my time. I didn't give them my energy face to face because I was busy running other businesses. For them, I had another family and I didn't love them anymore. But for me, I was obsessing over them and worried about them. And this deferment of the maintenance of these things started to compound. And all of a sudden, after we saw that the industry was changing, there wasn't as many homes selling, the market was down, and we had bought and purchased our way to try to grow, I was like, I'm about to start losing some money in my business. It scared the hell out of me. And so we had to make a round of layoffs for the first time ever. And if you've ever had to do that, if you've ever had to let somebody go because you financially couldn't contribute to their life anymore, it is riddled with shame and embarrassment and guilt, and it's just so stinking hard. And what happened was, we went to all of our agents and we made sure that we had a commitment for them for the next year, that 2023, they were going to roll with us. And they all said yes. And after we laid off 4 of our admin, my top agent left and took half of my production with him. Because people leave like it's Noah's Ark, right? They leave in pairs and they leave in groups. And so sure enough, they left and we're like, oh crap, we're in some serious trouble here. And then more left, and then more left. And it all went back to my dad, because my dad never chose me. I was never good enough. And so because I had never dealt with my daddy trauma, it wrecked me. Like crippling. I've never had a panic attack, but I was pretty close. And I've never felt anxiety, but I was I was overwhelmed with it. I was so embarrassed. I had no idea why I wasn't good enough. And so that's my story, but I don't know your story. I don't know the things that have happened in your life that you haven't dealt with yet. But I got to work, and it took bit by bit by bit, but I got to work by going to therapy. Man, thank goodness for therapy. And I got to work by not hiding in the shadows anymore, not stepping on the scale anymore, not doing those things. I just got to work. And I am wealthier now today than I ever have been, but I'm not talking about money and I'm not talking about time. I'm talking about peace. There was a season in my life when I chased money. That was chapter 1. Chapter 2, I chased time. Chapter 3, I chased influence. Chapter 4 is where I am right now, and I am chasing peace. Oh my gosh. I had no idea how tasty this bite would be. But how did I go from the depths to the glory with the daddy issues, right? How did I manifest and do all this? It wasn't just the internal, it was the external, because I told you I had a bunch of deferred maintenance. And life happens to us sometimes when we can't choose it, but sometimes we make choices that lead us to a bunch of hell and trauma and hard things in our lives. And so the story is, at the same time in which I was crippled in anxiety and fear and doubt and shame and all the embarrassment from my business collapsing and my unaddressed daddy issues, that the moment that time was happening, the same thing was happening to me physically. I stepped on the scale in November of 2022 when my team left me. And by the way, it was my fault. I hope you hear that. I'm telling the story that they left me, but it was me that did all the things. Now, they chose what was best for them. It wasn't about me. People don't think about me as much as I think they think about me, right? Like, people don't think about you as much as you think they think about you. It's this bullshit story that we tell ourselves all the time. Just you, nobody else, but I'm kidding. I'm kidding. And so I stepped on the scale and I weighed 346 pounds. The heaviest I had ever been in my life. And over the last 2+ years, I've gotten after it. And Aaron said he didn't recognize me because when we saw each other 2 years ago, I was 100 pounds heavier. I've lost 120-ish pounds. It feels pretty good. I still don't have abs, so that sucks. But how does this happen? Because I'm hoping you want this. I'm hoping you want to figure out, how do you take the trauma, the drama, all the crap that's happened to you? How do you take the hardships and the bullshit stories you keep telling yourselves? How do you take the broken narratives that have held you back for so long? And how do you step into your greatness? The person with the 4 chins in those pictures is not who God made me to be. My favorite word is the word anointed. Anointed means called. It means chosen. And I had to figure out when I looked in the mirror that I wasn't the bullcrap story that I had told myself over and over again. Some people have that ability to look in the mirror and just be like, yeah, you got that dog in you. By the way, when I say that, there's always somebody that thinks of the Costco reference of like, I got that dog in me. It's the $1.50 dog. Yeah, thank you. Thank you, Nancy. Yeah, thank you. One of us. But I mean that sincerely. Like, I had to go through a lot of work to see my worth. And when I see my worth, I'm no longer performing as a 5, 6, 7, or an 8. If I know who I'm made to be, I'm going to show up with more fire in my belly and more intention in my day. And I'm going to say that I am worth greatness, and I'm worth that wealth, and I'm worth that time, and I'm worth that influence, and I'm worth the peace. So here's how I got there. I saw, for the month of November, this was in 2022, I saw that there was a 30-day challenge that somebody had put on Facebook. And it was to do 100 push-ups a day for 30 days. And I'm like, man, that's a lot of orange push-ups to eat, but I think I can do it, you know? Thank you for, there's a delayed laugh there. That's called grenade humor. Just... It's so good. Gang, at 346 pounds, do you have any idea how scary 100 push-ups are? Not you. Like, you don't have to flex. Like, knock it off. Douchey muscle guy up front with like, come on. I don't need any of that. Brandon in the back. I touched Brandon's arm. I'm still like flustered and butterflies on my belly because that guy is just like, holy cow. 346 pounds, 100 push-ups a day. And so there I was, and I'm like, can I do this? And I think I did like 15. I'm like, okay, that really hurt. And then I did like 12. And then I did 10, and then 10, and then 10, and then 8, and then I ate a push-up, and then I did 10 more, and then I somehow got to 100. And it sucked. I didn't know how to change my life. I had no idea. But I was tired of feeling the way in which I felt. And so instead of committing to year-long goals, I committed to a 30-day sprint. I want you to write down 30-day sprint. It is the framework for everything in my life that has turned into something incredible. To obsess over something for 30 days. If you tell me to go change and lose 120 pounds, I'll say, I have no idea how, but if you tell me to do push-ups for 30 straight days, I can do push-ups for 30 straight days. And a 30-day sprint can be the foundation for everything in your life. Everything. Everything that you want is on the other side of hyper-focus and telling yourself that I can actually do this. When I tell people that I did this 30-day challenge, and by the way, at the same time in which I was doing that, I was listening to The Power of One More by Ed Milet. The book is fantastic. The podcast, the YouTube videos, it's all really great. The Power of One More by Ed Milet, where he's like, man, if you can do 100, can you do 110? And so the second day I did 110. And the third day I did 115. And the fourth day I did 120. You got that book right there? Muscly Arms, of course you have it. The most handsome man I've ever seen in my life is just like, yeah, I got you. It's so good. My gosh. I am a happily married straight man, but you are just gorgeous. I sometimes make myself laugh. That was good. I ended up that month, I did 4,000 push-ups. At 346 pounds, I did 4,000 push-ups because it was the power of one more. It was just a little bit more and a little bit more because I started to believe in myself. The most addicting thing in life is progression. It is the key that unlocks everything, is that if you can prove to yourself, I did the damn thing. People are like, Eric, how'd you do 100 push-ups a day? I'm like, do you understand that if you actually do it, it's like a minute? I did the damn thing for a minute. 100 push-ups, if you do it straight, will take you a minute, maybe a minute 30. Now I broke it up, and so it was like fractions of the 20 seconds here and 20 seconds there. The next month, I'm like, I'm going to do 5,000. I'm like 340 pounds, so I lost like 6 pounds that month. I'm like, I'm going to do 5,000 push-ups. And on day 19, I hit number 3,000. I'm like, I'm pacing. I'm right there. And then I blew out my shoulder because I had done 800 push-ups in 2.5 days. Have you ever actually pushed yourself to the limit because you think you know where the limit is? You think you're like, I'm at a 9 or a 10. I dare you to wreck your shoulder. And the reason why I did it was because I was progressing, because I got addicted to winning. And if I had the goal to lose 120 pounds, how in the hell am I ever going to get addicted to that when it's just little bit by bit by bit? A 30-day sprint will change your life forever. To commit to one thing and just do it over and over again. So I decided, as I was on this health journey and I started to tell the story of what was happening through all of this, I decided to get serious. And I wanted to get really serious about it, and I started to share it on social. And so every day I would tell people of my journey, hey, I'm doing these push-ups, I'm doing these push-ups. And so in the month of January of this year, I did 5,000 push-ups. I committed to doing 3,000. I told the story. I made a video on it every day because I needed that kind of accountability publicly. But here's the thing. I have, at minimum, 30 people in my DMs that have told me that I changed their life. No, this is not, thank you for that, but it's not about me. It's because I chose to do a 30-day sprint that then compounded into a belief in myself that I never had before. And then I shared my journey. Maybe you're in chapter 1 right now where you're going after wealth. And here you're sharing wealth journeys, and that's cool. Maybe you're in chapter 2 and going after time. Chapter 3 is a really good one. To have influence and impact means that you can't be silent. And I fear that so many of us have bullshit excuses of something like, I don't like social media, or it's not my thing. But you telling your story of your vulnerability, if I just got on there as a gym rat saying like, listen up everybody, you gotta go ahead and hit that there weights and do them push-ups just like me if you want a hot body like me. The only reason why it's influential is because it's the before and the after. It's the vulnerability and showing the weakness, not just the highlight reel. If you want to be influential in people's lives, it has to be before and after. It can't just be the after. You can't hide in the shadows. Now, if you are passionate about changing your stars, if you think that you are called to greatness, if you think that you are anointed and chosen and meant to be different, if you are tired of playing small in this life, 30 days, one simple thing. And so here it was. I've been doing this challenge. I got at least 30 people in my DMs that are messaging me saying like, hey man, you've changed my life. I'm doing all these things. I have a guy who rallied together. He has a group of 20 guys doing a 50,000 push-up challenge now for the month or for the year. They're all committed to doing 50,000 push-ups. Unbelievable. My 10-year-old daughter did 3,000 push-ups with me in January. And she tells her friends at school, she's like, hey, I did 180 push-ups yesterday. And they're like, no, you didn't. And so she, in her private school uniform, she's like, you want to do push-ups with me? And she's like challenging her friends to push-ups. Like, it's the coolest thing. Do you know what it's like to watch your kids all of a sudden recognize that they're so freaking powerful? I have it on a later slide, but I got to talk about it now because I got my stuff out of order just a little bit. There's this book title I'm flirting with. And I've written a couple of books, humble brag, I've written a couple of books, both very mediocre, but I'm happy to give them to you. The first book I wrote is called Play for the Person Next to You. It's a servant leadership book. The second book I wrote is called The Perfect Real Estate Agent Blueprint. They keep getting better, but the one I'm flirting with now is a book called Leaders Go First. Please don't go buy the domain or anything, because like I haven't done that. I probably should. But it's become this mantra for my life. Because I'm recognizing how many people are watching. And I got the money. I have the time now. Chapter 3 and 4 are so much better. But they have to go in order. You know, I think you can get peace before you get all those other things. And I think you can get influence before you get wealth and before you get time. But I'm done chasing dollars and I'm now chasing peace and influence. It feels pretty great. And to have my daughter and my son watch. We had this moment. My wife called me a couple of days ago. I was running my event in Dallas. And she's like, we need to talk. And sent me a screenshot of the teacher texting her saying, we need to talk about Simon. And my kids are pretty goody two-shoes, like rule followers. They're at this private school, and my son is always trying to be funny. I have no idea where he gets it from. But in this, turns out my son gets, as an 8-year-old, gets like touchy-feely with people, you know? So standing in line, he decided that he was going to butt bump people, which I think is kind of funny. But then, not even thinking, it goes from butt bump to crotch bump. My wife wasn't laughing like this, guys. And so we have the conversation, and the teacher and the principal are like, we don't think it's malicious or sexual or anything. We just think that he's trying to be funny, and we have to rein it in, and he has to understand that like crotches on people isn't good. It's really good, but like it's not something that you should be like doing as a kid, right? Like, And so my wife FaceTimes me, and she's like, Simon, you need to talk to your dad. And he curls up under the blanket and won't look at me. Because I mean that much to him. And he doesn't want to disappoint me. And so I tell him, Simon, there's nothing you can ever do that's going to make me stop loving you. I've never loved anything more in my life. And I have to continually remind him of his greatness. Because who he sees in the mirror is not who I see him to be. I, as his father, see him differently. And my father, not my earthly father, but my heavenly father, thinks that I'm worth dying for. And I think the same of my son. And if that's who I am, and if that's who Simon is, it is an insult to play small. It is an insult to be grossly overweight. Quickly, I want to share with you that I've been on a couple weight loss journeys. And after my mom died, I was 21 years old. I went on a 6-month bender. I ate and drank everything in sight. And it was the day before Thanksgiving, 2001. I went to our wellness center at my college campus, and I was the only person there in like the 50,000 square foot facility. And I'm like, I'm just tired of feeling this way. It was the moment that broke me. I'm tired of feeling this way. So I hopped on the treadmill and I ran a mile for the first time in my life, sweating au jus and gravy, like all this horrible stuff. And I kept going back and I kept going back and I kept going back. And 9 months later, I ran my very first race of my life, and it was the Twin Cities Marathon, 26.2 miles. The very first race I ever ran was 26.2 miles. Haven't ran it again, but I did it, the 26.2 miles. I did a couple of halves and that sort, right? But like, it was a couple months before the marathon happened. I was at the mall in Fargo, and I was literally shopping for a better antiperspirant because under my pits was just like pools and pools and pools of sweat all the time. And I'm shopping at Walgreens in the mall, and all of a sudden, I hear this store manager from down the hall yelling, "Stop, stop, somebody stop him!" And there's this guy running full speed away from the manager and at me. And my first instinct is, Erik, press yourself against the wall and stay safe. But my second instinct was, Erik, you can save them all. And so, right as he approached, I ducked down into turtle shell position. And at full speed, he hits me and does a 270-degree rotation, landing flat on his back. And I get up and I put a knee in his chest and I go, "Don't move!" I felt like Hooks from Police Academy. I hope some of you get that reference. It's a fantastic reference. They then call mall security, and in walks two of Fargo's finest. One standing 5 feet tall and 100 pounds, and one standing 5 feet tall, 300 pounds. Armed with walkie-talkies and flashlights, they look like the number 10 next to each other. It's a great joke, guys. It's a really great joke. But it's the truth. And they're like, "We got this, we're good." And I'm like, "Okay, that's cool." Like, and I started holding my side because his knee went right into my ribs. They're like, "Erik, you can exit. Like, we got this under control." I'm like, "Okay, I saved them all. I'm out of here." And I exit out, and I go left out the door. It's an exit right out to the parking lot. And I go left out the door. Well, I get about 100 yards away, and I hear the store manager again yelling, "Stop, stop, somebody stop him." Mall security was unable to apprehend the perp. And so he's running at a dead sprint across the parking lot. But gang, I'm in marathon shape, y'all. I don't care if he runs 15 miles, I'm gonna catch him. And so I throw my bag down, and I'm wearing leather Doc Martens sandals, which are 7 pounds each. And so I'm running.
Just like as floppy as it comes. And I'm on a dead sprint. I get to him really quickly.
And as I come up to him, you guys stand up. What's your name?
Tyler, Erik.
Tyler.
I've waited my whole life for this. It's time. You're gonna play the part of the perp, okay? Yes. So you face that lake, and you look out of shape. Yep, this isn't where I've been. Just a picture for a moment, but Tyler is very out of shape. And as I get close to him, he starts digging in his right front pocket. And I'm thinking, this guy's got a gun or a knife or a sharp number 2 pencil. I don't know what it is, but I'm like, I gotta stop. And so I run up behind him. When I rip his arm, pieces. I rip his right arm out. I put him in a chokehold like this. I jump up into the air and wrap my legs around him and bring him to the ground. You can't go to the knee. So friggin' strong. I bring him to the ground and then I just stretch. And he goes, a dying velociraptor. And then he goes, I have asthma. And he was literally reaching for his inhaler. And I just listened to the ground. Kyler, have seats. Oh, damn. And rip it to the ground. The real cops come. I go to the doctor, and I have 3 cracked ribs, which certainly impacts your marathon. Still did it. But how did I save them all? It's because I was in shape. You have to understand that we do a lot of things for us. We do a lot of things so that we can have our family, people around us.
We do a lot of things so that we can benefit. But there is a world out there to serve that really needs us. And so, if not me, who? And if not now, when? My last story is this. I was introduced to the idea of to defer my real estate taxes and to accelerate the depreciation on my properties. I was introduced to that a few years ago, and I took advantage of that. It was 2021, and I had a bunch of tax savings, but I had responsibly saved up a bunch of cash because I knew tax time was coming. 30 days prior to that, I'm in a conversation with my buddy Than. Than runs a nonprofit called Unseen. It fights human trafficking and its root causes. And it breaks my heart. Did you know that right now there's over 50 million people trafficked around the world, and over 11 million of those are kids? There's over 11 million kids getting raped day in and day out. It wrecks me. And so, it was heart-wrenching and shocking to me, the pain that was out there. And Than tells me that he had met these guys, Jason Bourne-esque dudes, people that are the top people in the military that you won't ever know even exist or have walked this earth. And they're the ones that took out bin Laden. And they're the ones that have done like all these like rescue missions that will never show up on the news. They are that bad of dudes. But as they retire, they go on to be like Secret Service for Kanye. Like it's not a fulfilling life for them. And so they're looking for purpose. And Than met these guys knowing that there's this darkness in the world and these bad guys that need to be put behind bars or eliminated from the earth and these kids that need to be rescued. The problem was huge and it was right in front of Than's face. And Than talks to this guy who is connected with all of these bad mamma jammas. Than talks to him and he's like, yeah, if you can get me $250,000 in the next 30 days, we'll launch this and do this thing. And Than's like, whoa, okay. On day 29, I talked to Than and I said, Than, how's the fundraising going? And he says, you know, I've raised about $150,000. I got 24 hours to get another $100,000. And he's like, I don't know how I'm going to get that. He's like, I have faith that I'm going to get that, but I don't know how I'm going to get that. And 2 hours before that conversation with Than, on day 29, I talked to my CPA. And after accelerating the depreciation on my properties and paying all my taxes, in my tax account was $100,000 left over. And so I, without hesitation and without permission from my wife, said, all right, Than, I got you. He's like, what? What, you can make like a couple $1,000 donation? I'm like, no, I got you. And I gave him $100,000. And from that time, there have been thousands of kids that are saved and redeemed. And it is not all credit to me. This is not a yay Erik story. There's a mission going out right now. They found in Peru a graveyard of thousands and thousands of kids that have died over the last decades as trafficked. And we just sent out some guys to take care of it. Day in and day out. I got goosebumps right now, gang. I hope you do too. So why the hell are you playing so small? If you're at that 5, 6, 7, or 8, you got more to give, gang. Thank you for your time.
We've got time for some questions.
All right, so remember I said you guys are so lucky to be here today. Questions for Erik?
Just raise your
Comments? Things you liked hearing? Something you took notes on?
You did your first 30-day sprint. Why did you choose to do it the next month?
I do a sprint every month. So
anything?
It compounds. Yeah, I figure out one thing physically, one thing business-wise. So physically right now, I am committed to doing at least 2 minutes of planking a day, at least 100 sit-ups, but I can't do the push-ups like I was. And so I'm doing 25 minimum workouts a month. And then I'm making sure that I'm doing my sit-ups and my planking every day. That's my physical. The 30-day sprint that I'm doing for my business is that I'm striving to have at least 5 conversations about my mastermind or my events that I run with people every business day. And so 25 conversations a day, and I want to make sure I have at least 100 conversations in the course of the month. And that leads me to some really great business goals, which leads me to a chance to save some kids and do some good in the world.
So I started my 100 push-up a day sprint about 5 or 6 days ago when I saw one of your Instagram posts. It's just funny how that works, right? And there's that, especially that journey. One of my favorite things that you said was like nobody really cares about the highlight reel stuff. Like if you really want to make impact, the stuff that we're all ashamed to post is like the bad days, like I lost the money, I lost the listing, I'm having a really, really rough time. Like that's the real stuff. Like it's always my fear when I speak too, that I go, hey, this is my resume. And then instantly nobody wants to relate. I've got to remind them like the stages or the steps or the ups and downs and that. So I think I think a lot of people probably needed to hear that. It's like really highlight the bad stuff, because the bad stuff is what people actually relate to and impact. Who else? Something else that somebody wrote down, took a note on, some appreciation before Erik heads back to Fargo, North Dakota. Nicole.
Nicole Masters, Roseville, California. Touching on what you just said about how you were inspired to do the push-up because you were posting about it. You were inspired to do it because someone on Facebook posted about it. And so just to speak to that, like it's this chain. And a lot of times we don't know how much we do affect people. Like I just told you last night, you were one of the reasons I stopped drinking. And I don't know if you knew exactly how that happened, but it's all these little micro things that happen that we influence each other. So thank you for sharing a story. That's really beautiful.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Sarah over here. And that is such a great point, right? So somebody like 15 years ago came up with 100 push-up a day on Facebook, right? And like that butterfly effect of
no doubt, yeah.
how it got to
75
me.
Hard is that same kind of thing, right? Like it's you see somebody doing the damn thing every day, and it's inspiring.
Yeah. Sarah Dennig, Fishers, Indiana. I cried the entire time. I just like your childhood mine is so familiar. Thank you for doing that for kids. My sister is a child abuse detective, and she has she has done cool shit. Like she's, the Roblox scandals, like she's cracked it all, and like it's so dear to my heart because somebody has to show up for these kids. Yeah. So thank you.
Absolutely. Thank you for sharing that, Sarah.
I was going to ask you, how do we, Debbie Bowman from Austin, Texas, how do we get involved? Is there a way that we can, even if it might be small, how do we can support that cause?
You know, I'm going to give you a long answer. Is it okay if I give a long answer? Yeah. I'm a former KW agent, as most realtors are. And it's a good joke. And I always idolize Ben Kinney. Ben is a business partner of mine now, and I'm a place partner. And in fact, I'll leave here tomorrow to go to Seattle to spend the weekend with Ben. And Ben was giving $30 a transaction to KW Cares. And I was like, I'm going to give 50. And it landed me in a room with Ben 12 months later because I was one of the top 10 donors for KW Cares in 2013 and 2014. Even the year they kicked me out, I was still a top 10 donor for KW Cares. And it's rare, Erik, to find people that want to be generous. But I made the purpose of my business, when I really found momentum, when I really found growth, was when I stopped trying to win for myself and I tried to win for other people. And so Ben helped me to understand that it can be in every transaction, like set it and forget it kind of thing. That's a great way to do it. My buddy Than runs this nonprofit called it's called Unseen. It's weareunseen.org. And so that's the easiest way to give some cash. But there is some powerful stuff that's out there in the world. And for me, it's now like, I won't take a stage unless I'm going to talk about generosity. Because I think that if we want to really be called into our greatness comes from giving, not from taking, not from accumulating. And so I always want to make sure to share that heart. And I would encourage you that if it's of your heart, find a way to have it be the lifestyle and not the one-time thing. Because the one-time thing is good, but gooder is the lifestyle.
One more. Doreen.
Doreen Booth from Naperville, Illinois. When I got my license in 2019, I decided I wanted giving back to be a platform of my business. So I donate 15% on every transaction.
Oh my gosh.
And the buyer or seller gets to pick where the money goes.
I love that.
So last year was $38,000.
Hell yeah.
In total, since 2019, mid-2019, I've given away about $115,000.
Yeah.
And so really, it's a way. I just made it part of my business plan before I ever. My husband's like, are you sure it needs to be 15%? But I just made it part of my business.
That's so beautiful.
And so it's a way, and there's not a lot of people who do it, but it's totally possible. So I would encourage you, if you think about that, to just make it part of your business plan and just be consistent with every single transaction. And it really does. So your move makes a difference for you and for an organization close to your heart. Yeah, is what I tell people. So.
Thank you for sharing that, Aaron. I want to see if anybody is interested. I'll even make it easier for you here. Okay, so on Instagram, if you want to follow me on the gram there, that's what the kids call it nowadays. If you DM me one word, just DM me the word blueprint, you'll get instructions on how to get a free copy of my blueprint book, The Perfect Real Estate Agent Blueprint, which has a whole bunch of tactical things to help you to build a really beautiful career. So, Aaron, thank you for giving me the privilege of sharing with you.
Erik, thanks so much, dude. So good. All right, Real Estate Rockstars. So hopefully you guys loved hearing one of our speakers from last month's Mastermind. If you are considering joining us for next year, now is the time to sign up. We're only going to have ticket sales for the next 30 to 45 days. And after that, we cut it off so that way we can focus on providing value and not selling tickets. So for the event this next year, February 25th to 27th in Austin, Texas, if you're interested in getting a ticket, you can go to realestaterockstarsmastermind.com. And if you want to chat with me about anything, as always, come find me on Instagram at Aaron Amuchastegui. Thanks for listening.